I'm Paris Rex, and this is my art presentation of the love and sex theme. This is my PowerPoint, my first slide. It's a little difficult because of the lighting. Just put love and sex, and it says sexuality and love expressed through art. On my second slide, it has the definition of love, sex, and art listed on there. It says love, an intense feeling of deep affection. Sex, sexual activity including specifically sexual intercourse. Art, the expression or appreciation of human creativity, skill, and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. I feel like that's all part of love, sex, and art theme. My third slide exploring sexuality through art, and it's like a couple bullet points of how I feel you explore your sexuality through art. Art has served an uncensored means of expression in which it creates a safe place to explore sexuality and potential inner erotic desires that actually might be unsafe to explore verbally or out in the open. Some people don't take it the same way as when they just see a picture on the wall. Art has been a vessel for communication and expression of sexuality through almost all of time and across all cultures by recognizing sexuality as a basic human impulse. So, some people aren't open to the thought of sex or love, but in reality, everybody, wants it or needs it, and it's a natural human feeling. So I feel like everybody should be able to express it, some ways better than others. It gives the artists and viewers the chance to express themselves and their views of sexuality and love in a creative way. So I feel like all of that is how art allows you to kind of express yourself, because instead of like speaking about it open in public, which is a lot of the time not taken well, you can just make a piece of artwork, and that's what a lot of these artists did. So, moving on to my first example of the theme that I had. These are the erotic sculptures of I have a hard time saying it. Khajuraho, which they are temples. I'm going to show you a better view. It's like, those are the temples at the bottom. The sculptures are at the top, and it's like different, Kama Sutra sexual positions. And it says, these erotic sculptures are carved on the walls of the Khajuraho temples. They are masterpieces of preserved Indo-Aryan medieval temple art and architecture. These pornographic scenes may be offensive to some, but are a depiction of the four goals of life as seen by the Vedas. And these four goals are Dharma, Artha, Karma, and Moksha. They represent the philosophy of life seen by the Hindus. It's like all of those put together, which a lot of them have to do with love and sex. It's like a way to reach sublime, and it's like the perfect life for them, acting as an example of a temptation every human faces in life, meshing the unconventional art in with their religion and spirituality. So those were really cool to me. And on the next slide, I put a few interesting things that I felt, and it says, see, I kind of just wrote a huge paragraph, but it says, an interesting take on the erotic couples on the walls of Khajuraho temples I have is that in this time, sexuality really wasn't accepted very well. Even on the walls, they had this Hindu belief that say you must leave your lust and desires behind before you even enter the temples. And so that's why those sculptures were actually only on the outside of the temples. They were not on the inside, because you could view them on the outside, but once you enter, it's no more of, sex. It's all, something else that's, I guess, more accepted by the Hindus. And actually on the walls, the carvings or the sculptures are of different things, like bestiality, which is animal and human, homosexuality, which is man and man, woman and woman, woman and man, the different positions, that kind of would make some people uncomfortable. Not everybody wants to admit that they are comfortable doing that, but I'm sure a lot of people, experience that or wish to. So it says like that the cool thing that I thought the most interesting thing was that that's how they expressed themselves in a time that it wasn't really accepted or allowed. They kind of just chose that way and just put them on the temples, and they're actually still there. This is my second example of art for the theme. And this is Shiva seated with Uma, 12th century Nepal. So Shiva, which is seated on the left, was with his wife Uma on the right, and he is actually one of the most important figures in the Hindu religion. And this is actually a copper alloy representation. He's on the right, the larger one. She's the smaller one. And it says that they are embracing each other and they look peaceful and happy, although by first glance, like if you were to just walk into the art museum and see that, you're kind of just like, oh, it's some dude sitting with his wife. But actually it's a very good representation of like loyalty and passion and desire. So he's actually embracing his wife. And you might not know this, but there's a lot of sexual and intimate notions. It says Shiva, she holds a lotus flower which has a parrot pecking at it. And in this depiction, the lotus is a symbol of divine purity, while the parrot is a symbol of physical passion. So this couple together in this actual depiction represents a divine prototype of idolized erotic love. So it's like the love that everybody wants to have, they have it. And through this piece of artwork, that's what they're representing. And you might not know that until you actually read into it and you see the hidden depictions of sex and love. I would never have known that if I didn't research about it, the lotus flower and the parrot. So that's very interesting to me because I would have never thought about that. The next one, I really like this one. The next one is the swing. So that's actually, at first glance, you kind of look at it and it's just a beautiful woman swinging on the swing. You can see somebody pushing her, and you can see somebody else right under her, kind of in the flowers, looking at her. Well, whenever you research this piece by Jean Honore Fragonard in 1767, it's an oil painting, and it says, there are many representations of the sex and love theme, but you may not see them without knowing the background information. The woman swinging in the swing is actually a mistress of the baron whom is laying under her. So the man at the bottom of her, I don't know if you can really see, he's on the bottom, kind of, it looks like he's throwing flowers, but I don't think he is. That is the man she's having an affair with. So he's laying under her, and then the bishop, which is kind of to the right side of her and pushing her high enough, just high enough so that he can see up her skirt. So you would have never known that if you didn't research it, right? So it says the bishop is swinging her high enough so that the baron can see under her skirt. There are representations of love, like Cupid, who is the god of desire and erotic love. Everybody knows that. Also, a tiny lapdog is pictured in the right, and you can barely see him, so I'm not even going to try to show you because this camera is kind of bad. He's pictured in the right hand corner, and this dog represents faithfulness, and he's trying to actually bark at her husband, and you don't see the husband in the picture, but he's paying no mind. And so that's very odd to me that, I would have never known that. If I walked into an art gallery and saw this picture, I would just say, oh, that's a cool picture of a lady swinging on the swing. But little do I know, she's like having an affair with the man that's sitting under her. So that was a little bit, interesting to me to find out as I did my research. And I kind of, another very interesting thing that I wrote on this is my 8th slide. I just did like a little interesting fact about that piece. I learned that in my research of this piece, the swing, it's actually painted during a time that one's self-expression, freedom, and discovery was highly valued, but not everyone was allowed to express themselves freely. So in the painting, the servant that you see pushing her is also a representation of the proletariat romanticism, and shows that he is, like, as such, acting as a servant. So he's obviously not equal to the other people around him. The women in this time period were not allowed to be seen as having fun in public, and the woman swinging on the swing is a perfect representation of her expressing her freedom right to enjoy herself wherever. Like, she's having a blast, having an affair, that wasn't allowed. So that is a perfect representation of how she's living her life. Okay, let's see. I have 2 more slides. So this is my 9th slide. I love Andy Warhol, so this was kind of cool, but I couldn't really find a lot of stuff on it. But these, hold on, are snapshots. It's like a woman and a woman, a man and a man, and another woman and a man, I think, I'm pretty sure. They're all kissing, because this is an example from photographs from the silent experimental film Kiss by Andy Warhol, so that was cool. Okay, and on the next slide, my ninth slide, I explain, you know, what this is all about. So this is Kiss is a 16 mm film transferred to video, and Andy Warhol actually filmed this during a time when Hollywood films did not allow a scene of people touching lips for longer than 3 seconds. So he decided to make a film involving 3.5 minute film fragments of people just kissing, like women and men, women and women, men and men, whoever, like love is love, whoever wanted to kiss. And this broke barriers in the film world, and also the acceptance of homosexuality on screen, because this was at a time where there was no, you know, acceptance of homosexuality. You couldn't even kiss on camera. So he just kind of did his thing and was like, you're going to accept it regardless. And that's really cool to me, because especially in a time like this where everything is pretty much accepted now, you know, I feel like it took those people to stand up for their own rights, because it is their own rights as human beings to love whoever they want and kiss whoever they want. He kind of broke a barrier by doing that video, and that's really cool to me. But that was it, and I really enjoyed this, you know, project, because I'm very interested in love and sex theme, and it was very cool to me to see, like, I don't know a lot about art, but to see how artists actually portray themselves through their art and how strongly and serious it is. You know, you don't know that if you're not really familiar with art. My last slide,